Alright everyone, welcome to the Demise Week 5 recap. I apologize, I know we missed a week last week. Made the mistake of promising maybe a little bit while we were away, but not too much you can do when you are at Disney World and you are at the whim of a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old. You kind of just have to do what they want to do, and sometimes you gotta put that ahead of other things, but so we weren't able to find a time, unfortunately. The plan was to actually have Sally do something, commenting on the Antonio Brown shirt, which I don't know if anybody saw. I think I commented on it on the message boards. This is a shirt that it was a Christmas gift from Sally and Jim. I didn't actually buy it. If I had bought it, it would not be this. It would be a real Antonio Brown jersey. I know. So I don't deserve the knock for that. I sport it because it was a gift. I showing my appreciation. But unfortunately, well then we also wanted Sally to call Brian's number last week while we were away. But while we were at Disney last Sunday, not this past Sunday, but the previous one while we were gone, I think she rolled her eyes every single time either me or Jim looked at their phones to see what was going on, and she was not too happy. So by Thursday, the suggestion that she call Brian's number, and I wanted her to say a few things about the shirts and just to comment on, dissing not only the shirt that was a gift from her, but then, man, you guys really must hate my team because you weren't just, it boiled over to, your hatred boiled over to dissing Antonio Brown and his streak. I mean, I know the streak is over, so we can't talk about it anymore, but come on, was that not an impressive accomplishment? You're dissing the guy? The guys who are like, oh, I'd rather see the Steelers win. If my fantasy football team loses, I don't care as long as the Steelers get a win. Really? And you're dissing Antonio? I understand if you want to make fun of my team and the players on it or do whatever, but you're personally dissing one of the best players on the Steelers for what reason? Other than you resent him just because he's on my team and his accomplishments? Man, no respect for the guy. I mean, I don't understand. Yeah. But hey, the streak is over. Michael Vick sucks. Ben Roethlisberger hopefully coming back in the next week or two. Turn things around. I think I said I wish I was joking, but I'm strongly considering benching Antonio Brown just because, at least until he threw that bomb to, what's his name? See, I can't even think of his name anymore. Wheaton. Marcus Wheaton, last night. He was terrible in that game. He couldn't, he hit Antonio Brown on the crossing route, and that guy, the DB from San Diego, I wasn't expecting much to begin with because I remember in week 1, they were talking about how good the DBs for the Chargers actually are, very underrated. They really shut down Calvin Johnson and Golden Tate, and rest of this beginning of the season, they've been really good at stopping wide receivers from having big games. So, not that I was expecting much from Antonio Brown anyway, but if you watch the game, just Michael Vick looks. I'm sorry, he looked absolutely terrible until the last 10 minutes of the game, and still he wasn't very good. He got lucky with that pass to Wheaton. They were just handing it off or throwing little screens to Le'Veon Bell the entire game, not really doing much. outside of that, so I don't have any, I don't have a follow up for the rest of whatever I was going to say there. So, point is, the shirt was a gift. I would buy an actual Antonio Brown jersey if I was going to do that, and just really disappointed in you guys for being hardcore Steeler fans, but actually personally insulting Antonio Brown, the man, the football player, the Pittsburgh Steeler. Like I said, letting your resentment for the Springfield Isotopes boil over a little bit too far, maybe. So let's just get right into it. We missed a week, but here we are, week 5. Who's texting me? Jim Crick. Gonna silence you there. Sorry, buddy. Doing the recap. Defending champion, of course, first, FC Bohoric. He was gone up against the Twerkin Bowl Cuts. And unfortunately for FC Bohoric, he drops to 1-4. And let's see, with this week, the score was Twerkin Bowl Cuts 163.15 to 129.75. Not too much impressive for Twerkin Bowl Cuts. Outside, Tyler Eifert got 2 touchdowns. Frank Gore finally did something for you, 16 points there. 17 from Larry Fitzgerald, pretty good. TJ Yeldon looks like he got 17, but most of that was reception points. I think he didn't have too much rushing. He had a touchdown, though. St. Louis defense did okay, even though they lost the game. Only 35 from Aaron Rodgers. So you added your quarterback going against your defense. Never a play you really want to do unless you're pretty much stuck into it. But fortunately for you, it worked out. As for FC Bohoric, put Drew Brees back in the lineup, hoping for some good things against the Eagles. 47 points there. You got to be hoping for a little bit more than that. You just can't seem to. I don't know what it is. They can't seem to get it going this year. And you got C.J. Spiller in your flex, hoping that he was going to be the new Darren Sproles, maybe Pierre Thomas. They do a lot of damage in the receiving game, little screen passes, things like that. But I don't know if he's just not healthy yet with his knee, coming back from knee surgery, or what it is. Or just, I don't know, it's something about the Saints this year. Obviously, they had a huge turnover in their roster. All new receivers outside of Colston. Cooks isn't doing much for some reason. Really, after watching the preseason, you had pretty big expectations for this team that they would be able to, with Drew Brees, they'd be able to at least stay on track. But just doesn't look like you're going to get consistency from them this year. Speaking of consistency, Demaryius Thomas, Keenan Allen, boy, those guys, only 10 and 11 points from each of them this week. 4 points from Vincent Jackson. It's just not going to get it done. Nothing you can say. I mean, Demaryius Thomas, one of the best receivers the past couple of years. Keenan Allen, he's been really hit or miss, though. But, yeah, I mean, you got to be disappointed in Demaryius Thomas. Is it Peyton Manning, or what is it? I don't know. I guess I do know it probably is, because if you see the ducks that he's throwing around the field, his interceptions, no touchdowns this week, just you don't know what you're going to get week to week, unfortunately. But, you draft him with the expectation that he's going to be a top performer no matter what. But maybe it's just not meant to be this year. Maybe this will be Peyton Manning's last year, who knows. And maybe they'll just bring back Tim Tebow and throw 65-yard touchdowns on Ike Taylor every week. And what else? So you didn't get much. Speaking of your Denver Broncos, I mean, you were invested in them pretty heavily coming out of the draft. So you got Demaryius Thomas, and your keeper was C.J. Spiller. I'm sorry, not C.J. Spiller. C.J. Anderson, who's got to be one of the biggest disappointments so far this year. Yahoo says 6. He wasn't flexed, so he only got you 2 points. Again, C.J. Spiller, 3 points. Kicker did good, but your Buffalo defense surprisingly didn't do too much for you. Only 1 turnover and 2 sacks. Even in a low-scoring 14-13 game, you're kind of hoping for a little bit more than that, especially against a rookie quarterback, Mariota. But just not good enough this week. And like I said, FC Bohoric now drops the defending champion. FC Bohoric drops to 1-4, while Twerkin Bowl Cuts moves up to 2-3. All right, who should we talk about next? Let's talk about Jim Crick, since he just gave me a phone call or a text message. He got absolutely embarrassed this week, going up against the still first place and still undefeated Possum Magic. The final score, thanks to Antonio Gates, is 2 touchdowns on Monday night. The final score here is 221.8 to 117.6, a 104-point difference, almost doubling up the Mighty Midgets' score this week. For Mighty Midgets, I feel your pain. We've both been suffering from the explosion of Devontae Freeman. The guy's been ridiculous the past 3 weeks, coming out of nowhere, really. I think he didn't, thanks to Tevin Coleman getting hurt, and Julio Jones, who knows just who knows how healthy he is week to week here. You drafted Matt Ryan. He's been consistently one of the best quarterbacks for our league the past couple years. But, like I said, Devontae Freeman's sucking up all the touchdowns, keeping you from really getting points. And the team's been ahead a lot of times this year. They haven't been fighting from behind, unlike last year and a couple years before. So only 30 points from him. Allen Robinson, pretty big hit or miss guy so far this year, but he got 7 for 70, 2 touchdowns. Snead, probably the only bright spot so far of the Saints. He got you 20 points on 6 catches. Beasley, 8 points. Murray, 4 points. Lacey, 3rd overall draft pick, getting you almost 3 points this week. Speaking of C.J. Anderson being a huge disappointment, you got to say Eddie Lacy. I don't know what it is about him. I've never really understood the huge buzz that he gets every preseason. I understand that he plays for the Packers, but he just, and they're a high-scoring offense traditionally with Aaron Rodgers, but I don't know. The guy just never seems to live up to expectations, even remotely close. So for me, he's never that high of a draft pick. 2nd round, maybe 3rd. You're hoping that going into the season at draft time, this is going to be the year that Eddie Lacy just blows up and goes crazy, and you don't want to miss out on that. You don't want to be the guy who passed on him and missed out on his breakout season, but how many seasons can you wait for a guy to have a breakout season? Moving on, Witten, couple catches. Unfortunately, he lost the fumble. You flexed Owen Daniels this week, hoping for that tight end matchup against the Oakland Raiders. Unfortunately, he did absolutely nothing. No catches, a 0 from him. While you benched Shane Vereen, I noticed, who had about 25 points. But I'm not going to knock you there because I checked, and Shane Vereen scored 2 points each of the last 2 previous weeks. So, he's your best flex play, but he's only scored 2 points he scored 2 points in week 3, 2 points in week 4, so you get antsy. You can't sit on these guys while you're losing games and their lack of production costing you, and then you switch out for something else, and then it ends up coming biting you in the ass. But your kicker was one of your best performers. Josh Brown from the Giants. He also started their defense. Thought that was going to be a pretty good play, but Colin Kaepernick turned into the second half of that game really kind of turned into a shootout. It was back and forth. You saw the game. Obviously, the Giants drove down the field at the very end. Larry Donnell touchdown, getting the win there for you, but lots of points, lots of yardage there. They did get the win, but it wasn't nearly enough. As let's go over to Possum Magic. I guess we should talk about the winner at least a little bit here. Flacco, good game, 46 points from him, 2 rushing touchdowns, so you got 6 there instead of the usual 4. Even though you didn't get too much from A.J. Green, Macklin, Kendall Wright, 14, 16, and 6 from each of those guys. Pretty decent, but this was the Doug Martin show this week. He got 120 yards rushing, and he had 3 touchdowns, 2 rushing and 1 receiving. So even though he had almost 40 points on Yahoo. You didn't get his receiving stats, but still 120 yards and 3 touchdowns. So that's 27 total. No, 20, 15, 18, 33 from him. Ingram, not too much. Antonio Gates, like I said, he ended up coming back his first game, blowing up 9 for 90, 2 touchdowns. I mean, the very first drive of that game, it looked like they were specifically planning to get Antonio Gates. I think it was his 100th career touchdown, and it looked like it was their mission on that first drive that they weren't going to be denied that touchdown to him, and he added a second one later. Dion Lewis looks like he's going to continue to be a great flex play throughout the season. He was probably the best pickup pre-season? I don't know if it was after the draft. I think it was after the draft, but right before the season, maybe that first Thursday night game, Patriots-Steelers, picked him up, plugged him in. I mean, he's not getting a whole lot of rushing stats, but he had 8 catches, 60 yards, and a touchdown this week, so he's going to consistently be, it seems like he's going to be a consistent flex play for the rest of the year, as long as he doesn't get hurt. But we'll let Brian put the hex on him this week. Couple things from your kicker. Denver defense, another great game from them. So Yahoo says 28. I'm sorry. It was definitely more than that. It was probably closer to 40, something like that. Not too many points allowed. Defensive touchdowns, some turnovers. I think did they have a long touchdown? I think there were only a couple long touchdowns this week, but I think the Denver defense was one of them. So said 33 from Martin, 30 from Gates, 45 from Flacco, and probably about 40 from Denver defense. It's going to probably get you a win every single week. And they got 221, highest score of the week, highest score of the past couple weeks. So Possum Magic just keeps rolling on. Must be something with that Romo jersey, is my suspicion. So, Possum Magic, you are 5-0, first place. But like I said, Mighty Midgets only scored half of what you got. So it's hard to say you've gotten a whole lot of competition this year. As here, I'm taking a quick look at the standings, and Possum Magic, you are wow. You are by far the least scored against team this year. You have only had 627 points scored against you. The next closest is, the Rook with 748. So 120 points less has scored upon you than any other team this year. FC Bahorik, I think it looks like he's in first place in that realm. He's had over 900 points scored against him in the first 5 weeks. So, I mean, that's almost 5 weeks. That's That's what, 175, 180. It's not quite 200 points a week, but it's up there in that ballpark, 175, 180. Well, let's see, 627 in 5 weeks. That's what, like 130, 140 points, probably at the most, a week. I'd say about 130, just doing quick math in my head. But is your 5-0 a fluke? It's hard to say, but the numbers say, at least to me, that you haven't faced a whole lot of stiff competition yet this year. So we'll see. 5-0 is 5-0. You only need 3 more wins to probably secure a playoff spot. So it doesn't matter. A win's a win as long as you get into the playoffs. All right, let's get into the exciting matchup from Monday night, unlike that one, which had Detonators trying to get his first victory going up against Chips, my boy. Detonators featuring Phillip Rivers coming back to him, hoping to reverse the curse, which he thought he did last year, but it's not looking too good. The final score on this one was Chips, my boy, 140.85 to the Detonators, 138.65. This one came down to Monday night. It was Phillip Rivers versus Melvin Gordon for Detonators. Unfortunately, Jamal Charles going down probably had a huge impact on this one. If he had gotten you a couple more points, really, when it's a 2-point difference, pretty much anything goes differently that week. Then the outcome could have been different. There's nothing you can do. I mean, I don't have to preach to you, Brian. We've had a tie before, so anything different that could have happened, but unfortunately it didn't. Let's take a quick look here up and down the scores. For Chips, my boy, he got 31 from Carson Palmer. His receivers, actually not very much. 10 points, 9 points from Matthews Cooper, 0 points from Harvin. Sproles, most of his stats came from half of his stats came from receiving, but still, he only got you 2.7. Clay, your tight end, only had 1 catch for 7 yards. But again, the aforementioned Devontae Freeman, 150 yards, 7 catches, a touchdown. He's in your flex, of course. 35 points again. A couple field goals from your kicker, Green Bay defense. A bunch of turnovers, a defensive touchdown from them. Big win, 30-some points for them. Might have been a little bit more than that, closer to 40. As for the Detonators, all he had left was Rivers going into Monday night. His guys, Hilton, 13 points. Evans, 7 points. Picked up Marquez Wilson, plugged him in since Eddie Royal wasn't playing. Probably your best move of the week, your highest score of anybody outside of Rivers. 20 points from him. Alfred Morris, only 15 yards from him. Jamal Charles, 58 yards. The play where he was injured on looked like they were getting close to the goal line. So unfortunately, he left a lot of potential points on the field this week and for the rest of the season because he is gone. Delaney Walker, 7 points from him. Your flex is Mr. Duke Johnson, who, outside of the flex, he's not rushing much. He got you 2 points for rushing, but his 11.5 for receiving there. Couple field goals from Hauschka. Picked up the Jacksonville defense. I don't know really. I was scratching my head when I saw this move, and you were talking about it in the podcast last week, hoping for really big things from them. Really? Jacksonville defense? I mean, okay, if they were at home, I would understand, but they were at Tampa Bay. 2 just, shootout potential teams. Your defense, I mean, aren't you rooting for Mike Evans? Yeah, you're going up against, I don't know. I realized you didn't have, you dropped Miami's defense, who I understand has been a huge disappointment so far this year. But I believe you said at the draft, as you were drafting them, they have the easiest schedule the first several weeks of the season. So I think you're pretty excited about the prospect of drafting them. But here we are playing playing the Jacksonville defense. They lost the game. They got 2 sacks, nothing else. There was yardage and points all over the place. I think it was 2 is the actual total that they got. So the funny thing about this matchup is, Chips my boy, not too much. I mean, he got 30. He pretty much got the same thing from let's see, Carson Palmer, Devontae Freeman, and the Green Bay defense all got you about 35 points each. Everybody else didn't do very much at all. Your score, Chips my boy's score going into Monday night, while he still had Melvin Gordon. Chips my boy's score was 138.65 going into Monday night. And so Brian needed 61.25 from Phillip Rivers to at least tie. Obviously, he had Gordon, so he needed a little bit more than that, hopefully to outpace whatever Gordon could do. And as luck would have it, Brian actually scored 61.25 from Rivers, giving him the 138.65 points that Chips my boy Jay had going into Monday night. Thankfully for Jay, even though he did lose a fumble, Melvin Gordon, he had, 42 rushing yards. So that ends up being 2.2. But those are the biggest 2.2 points of this matchup, because they get Chips my boy, who was 0-2 not too long ago, making his big comeback here. He is now 3-2, gets the win at the last minute here. If the Steelers hadn't scored that touchdown, if they kicked a field goal and it had gone to overtime, most likely Phillip Rivers gets a couple more completions and some yardage, and this one goes the other way. But that's just the way it goes. Just my boy. Like I said, you're 3-2. While Brian, don't worry, you are not in last place, but you are still defeated at 0-5. So, speaking of 0-5, let's just carry on. Talk about the other 0-5, the Raritan Pups. He was going up against Vanilla, and obviously since he's 0-5, he lost this one. The final score was 173.25 to 112.15. For Vanilla, I guess I should talk about the winners first, not the losers. I don't know why I keep doing that. I think it's because when I'm looking at the computer screen here, for some reason the winners are all on the right side, and the losers have tended to be on the left side for whatever reason. So for Vanilla, 48 points from Tom Brady, another huge game from DeAndre Hopkins, 31 points there. Imagine where you'd be if you were getting production from the expected production from Randall Cobb, man. But only 5 points from him this week. Tavon Austin really didn't do too much, but he did score again. Let's see. Carlos Hyde really hasn't done a whole lot since his big week 1. He did have 90 yards and a touchdown this week. Chris Johnson got you 100 yards. Little bonus there for 13 points. Larry Donnell got that last-minute touchdown in the in the Giants game there. 15 points from him. Forte, back to catching some passes. He caught a touchdown too, 70 yards rushing, 22 points from him. Pretty much what you're looking for every week from that guy. Couple field goals from your kicker. Picked up Baltimore's defense. They were at home against Cleveland, hoping for pretty good results there. And this one turned into a crazy shootout. They only got 4 sacks. They lost the game. Cleveland won. Too many points. Yardage all over the place. Yahoo says 4. I think it was right around that, maybe a little bit more, thanks to rushing stats or something. But 173 was definitely enough to take down the Raritan Pups, who have just been getting slaughtered week to week here. I think outside of week 2, the Wolves have had. If they hadn't been knocked out in week 1, the Wolves would be getting knocked out every single week because they've had the lowest score. Andrew Luck still on the shelf. You got 38 from Derek Carr. Your receiving core, not much. It's just brutal looking at this lineup. Your receiving core is Doug Baldwin, Marvin Jones, and Marquez Colston. 10, 11, and 6 from each of those guys. Colston got hurt, separated shoulder, I think. Looks like he's going to be out for a while. I mean, is there anybody on your team that is not on the injury report or out? I mean, you almost played Marshawn Lynch. You had him in your lineup till the very end, even though he was out. Put in Fred Jackson. He got you half of a point. But really, you didn't really have very many other options, since Moncrief on Thursday night got you 1 catch for 3 yards. Jeremy Hill, another bust game from him. Only 13 rushing yards, 1 less than 2 points. Your kicker, a couple field goals and a pat from him. Eagles defense, actually a bright spot on your team this week. Several turnovers, a lot of sacks, not too many points allowed. Pretty good game from them. Yahoo says 23. I think it was a little bit more than that. But so when you're looking down your lineup and you got 10, 11, 6, 1, half of a point, 6, 1.3, 5. Way too many single-digit scores there to really get you a win. And I don't have to preach to you because I'm sure Jimmy's just out. Everything that could possibly go wrong for you this year is going wrong. And, well, at least Jay has the Phillip Rivers jersey, so it's in the family. So I don't want to say anything, but at this point, it's looking pretty good for that last place punishment, I guess, at next year's draft. So hopefully, you can size it up, and I think Jay laundered it for you, so it'll be ready for you. All right. With that one, I should say Vanilla, he moves to 4-1, having a great year so far. He's in second place, while the Wolves are all the way down in last place. Let's see. Next we had the Rook going up against WC Hooligans. And the Rook pretty easily takes this one down. Didn't seem like he actually did that well, but yeah, he got almost 200 points here. 191.5 for the Rook. Easily enough to take down WC, who had 139.7. The Rook traded away, obviously, Phillip Rivers. Plugged in Jay Cutler for this week. Pretty good move. He got you 46 points. Bold move, I think, because we've all owned Jay Cutler, I think, at some point, and pretty much had him stick a knife into our chests and rip our hearts out at one point or another. Odell Beckham, 26 points from him. Calvin Johnson, pretty big disappointment so far this year, but we'll get to that here with this included in this matchup. 12 points from him. Emmanuel Sanders, the most consistent Bronco so far this year, 20 points from him. Gurley, looking like he's going to be the real deal. No touchdowns, no catches, but 159 yards rushing against the Packers at Green Bay. So 19 points from him there. DeMarco Murray, a lot of his stats came from receiving, but he caught a touchdown he had a rushing touchdown, 83 yards there from him. Kelsey, after his huge week 1, just hasn't really done much since. 6 points from him. McFadden, he's got him in the flex since he lost Dunbar for the season. Looks like he's going to be a decent flex play as long as he doesn't get hurt. I mean, he's pretty much taken over for Dunbar. he had 9 catches for 60 yards in this one. So really, he only had 16 rushing yards. So what are you going to do with Darren McFadden? Other than plug him there back in that flex spot, especially with as long as Whedon's going to be the quarterback. I mean, Romo's not back till probably Thanksgiving, another month yet. So are they going to make a switch to Castle maybe? But it's definitely a possibility as long as they keep losing. I mean, Whedon is not winning them games, and but it's good for you because you're getting all these dump off passes to guys like Randall and McFadden, piling up those stats in your flex spot. Unfortunately, so you were relying on some Cowboys here, but you were going up against your defense was playing at Dallas, New England, but it's Brandon Whedon, so you're gonna play. You can't sit a defense against him. Couple turnovers, only 6 points allowed. Yahoo says 18. It was definitely more than that. So again, 190 for the Rook. All those pretty good numbers up and down the board piled up for you. As for WC Hooligans, I said Calvin Johnson has been a pretty big disappointment so far this year, but that definitely rides on Matthew Stafford, who is causing severe pain, I think, for the WC Hooligans. Only 25 points from him this week. Caused me a lot of pain too, because he threw a bunch of interceptions to the Arizona defense. He got benched halfway through the game. He was awful. Alan Hearns, who you traded for recently, 23 points. He just barely scored less than your quarterback. Hankerson only had 1 catch. Cooks, surprisingly, I thought you kind of had given up on him, but I guess not. He had 5 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown. Pretty much garbage time, as the Saints were way behind in that game. Forsett, 120 yards and a touchdown from him. Foster, let's see. Foster, you didn't flex him, and so his 20 points, only 4 of those counted for you. Quiet game from Gronk, only 4 catches for 67 yards. You had Woodhead in your flex, which, I mean, if you're going to play Danny Woodhead in your lineup, there's really no place else you can play him. He only had 10 rushing yards. Much like Darren McFadden, like these guys pretty much were a wash because, what did I say, McFadden? 16 rushing yards to Woodhead's 10. Even though McFadden won this matchup, 5 catches for 60 yards from Woodhead, and McFadden 9 for 60. So, but then again, you had Arian Foster, who, I mean, all your guys are good flex plays. It's just a matter of picking which one from week to week, which is a headache that I think I've made it pretty clear that I try to avoid things like that. But that's just the way things are set up. Not much you can do about it. I know Detling, that's how it's been set up forever, and Detling loves it that way. But it's got to be painful to think that you could have done way better if everything accounted. Like I said, Arian Foster, you missed out on almost 17 points from him because he wasn't in the flex, but you would have missed out on 12 points from Woodhead if you had flexed Arian Foster and just played Woodhead as running back. So it's a tough call from week to week. I'm not going to sit here and bash you for not flexing Arian Foster or playing Woodhead. It's just the guys you got are the guys you got. I mean, you got to draft, if you're going to draft that way with these running backs, you know that they're going to be, when you got a bunch of pass catchers, you're going to have these weeks where you look back and it's painful to see the points that you missed out on. But so Dub C, like I said, he drops this one. He's down to 2-3, while the Rook moving all the way up. He is 4-1. Last matchup was the Huber Squashers going up against the Springfield Isotopes. This one came down to Monday night. which it definitely shouldn't have, I think, because Huber Squashers picked up and played Michael Vick, which, much like I said before with the Jacksonville defense pickup, kind of left me scratching my head on this one. You sat Andy Dalton, who scored Andy Dalton scored 62 points this week. So this matchup would not even been in question going into Monday night had you used Andy Dalton, who outscored Michael Vick by over 30 points. But that's what happened here. You went with Vick to Le'Veon Bell, ended up getting about 25 points from each of them, plus Vick had the long touchdown, so 3-point bonus there. But this one, Isotopes actually had a 20-point lead going into Monday night. Peyton Manning, only 30 points from him, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Just really painful. It's been a painful ride with him these past couple weeks ever since Tony Romo went down, which was really disappointing. I know I drafted Peyton Manning first as my quarterback, but as you may recall, I drafted Romo maybe 2 rounds later. Everyone was passing on Peyton Manning, and we pretty clear we know why this year. But what was he? I think he was like a 5th round pick, so it's hard to pass a guy like Peyton Manning, even in the 4th or 5th round. The potential is there. I mean, we know what he can do, but it looks like he's done. Romo, that's the biggest disappointment is him going down with that injury, because they've had the Cowboys. If Romo was in there, the Cowboys have had such good fantasy matchups. I mean, the first 6 or 7 weeks of this year. So it really pains me to be missing out on those. Missing the potential of Romo in those really shootout games that just Brandon Weeden obviously is not able to deliver on. Julio Jones, James Jones, about 18 points from each of them. Golden Tate, 15 points. Ryan Matthews, about 15 points from him. Unfortunately, Andre Williams got nothing this week. He did have a goal line carry, but he was stuffed. Would have been nice to get some points there. Jordan Reed, aforementioned about him in the podcast and the reviews, pretty good. I mean, he was great. He's great until he gets hurt, and he is hurt. So who knows when he's coming back. So now we've got Richard Rodgers, but still 10 points from him. Antonio Brown, you got to roll with the guy, I think, to see what happens. The first game, with Michael Vick at quarterback, you expected not much to happen, especially with that short week that they had, and it looked bad. But this week, only 3 catches, 45 yards for Antonio. I think most of those yards came on one of his catches. It just, like I said, Michael Vick picked it up at the end of that game. But I'll get back into that. My kicker, pretty much nothing from him. Cincinnati defense came back. They were getting blown out by the Seahawks, but they came back and won that game in overtime. I think, was it overtime? Or at least at the end. Yahoo says 13. I think it was like 20 or 6, maybe 16, something like that. But they got the win there, but still, you're banking on more. You're hoping you need more than that from your quarterback, and you need more than that from your defense. If you're and you got a 0 from somebody, that's just not gonna be enough week to week to get you a win. But like I said, Isotopes had a 20-point lead going into Monday night, with Antonio Brown versus Michael Vick and Le'Veon Bell for Huber Squashers. So, I mean, you needed... it wasn't expecting much from Michael Vick, but you needed him to be doing something to Antonio Brown for the Isotopes to at least have a chance in this one. Unfortunately, it did not go that way really at all. when he launched that pass down the field to Wheaton, I remember seeing the ball go up in the air, and I was like, please be Antonio, please be Antonio. And of course it was not. But that was actually the play that put Huber Squashers over the top here. Because it was really the Le'Veon Bell show almost the entire game, which you were pretty much were expecting. But I was not expecting to win this game with a quarterback with just my one receiver going against a quarterback and a running back flex play, the best running back flex play in the league. So those two guys should easily make up the 20-point difference here, but it actually took until the fourth quarter, as it said, halfway through the fourth quarter, until Huber Squashers was able to pull ahead, and it was that touchdown pass that really sealed the deal. But Le'Veon Bell, I mean, at that point he had 99 yards rushing. You knew he was going to go over and get the 100-point bonus. Plus he added on the touchdown at the end. So even though he only got 29 points from Michael Vick, that was pretty much equal to Peyton Manning. Pretty much not much from Randall. Julian Edelman had that long catch. I think it was about 60 yards for most of his receiving points came from this week. He got you 22. You picked up and we're gonna play Eddie Royal, but he's hurt, so you put in Ty Montgomery. Of course, he catches a touchdown. Hillman, only 2 points from him. Bennett, only 7 points. So 25 from Le'Veon Bell. 6 points from your kicker. And Arizona defense, like I said before about Matthew Stafford, they ended up having 4 interceptions. A total of 6 turnovers. Huge. Huge. I don't know what I'm saying. 6 turnovers, not many points scored. Yardage was low. Just Yahoo says 25. I think it was definitely way more than that. It was closer to probably 35 or 40. So that was really the difference here, I think, in this one. The disappointing, I mean, like I said, I think I've said before, you need your quarterbacks and your defenses to have good games. That makes it a lot easier to get a win the way our league is set up. Then if you get good games from those guys, from those two positions, because that's where the points can really rack up. I mean, especially with our quarterbacks getting points for completions, and with the defenses getting those box score points. You can get it. You're getting 6 or 9. You can get 3, 6, 9 points at a clip here. Those are huge point totals if you really think about it in this league, where your defense, if you get a defense that gets you 35, 40 points, and a quarterback who gets you 50 points, that pushes you almost to 100 just from those two. So really, then all you need is consistent, just the rest of your guys, you just need them to perform up to par, like what they should do. You don't need them to go crazy. You just need them to be consistent to usually get you a win here. And it wasn't, I mean, it said Peyton Manning, he's just not doing it this year. Said only 30 points from him, even though it ended up losing by, almost 30. It's that huge defense. I mean, nobody really went crazy up and down our lineups, outside of the 26 from Le'Veon Bell, but that's pretty much what you're going to expect to have to go up against when you got him. But the huge discrepancy between defenses, I think, was really the biggest influence on this one. I got 0 from Andre Williams, but everybody makes fun of me for plugging him in there, but whatever. I mean, you got Ronnie Hillman, who got 2. So I mean, I admit Ronnie Hillman has a lot more potential, but still, most matchups, sorry, Brian, but most matchups aren't decided by 2 points, 5 points. They're decided by 20, 30, maybe 100 points this week. So, all right. I feel like I'm getting tired of talking, but you're probably tired of listening to me talk about my opinions on the league. So, okay, enough. Isotopes drop to 3-2, while the Huber Squashers move up to 4-1. They are in third place. Let's see, this week, I believe we say goodbye to Mighty Midgets in the knockout pool. That makes the Wolves, FC Bohoric, Dubsy Hooligans, and the Rook. Excuse me. Yeah, the Rook, and now Mighty Midgets out of the knockout pool. So I've come home from work to do the recap here, and I've noticed that the Week 6 podcast, for some reason, is already up. So those guys beat me to the preview before I've gotten to the review of the previous week. So kudos to them. So I guess I'll get to wait a week for them to respond to anything I've had to say here in this recap. So, all right. Enough. Good luck, everybody, this week coming up. And so it's good to be back. Although, always disappointing to come back to wait. So it's always disappointing to wake up in Florida and go to bed in Pennsylvania. So, all right. Good luck to everybody this week. Week 6, already almost halfway through the season already. So it's a good ride so far. Looking forward to the next several weeks, and hopefully I wish all of you a healthy Week 6, no big injuries, hopefully coming up here. So, all right, that's it, and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks. Good luck to everybody.